Welcome back. Let's summarize what we learned in the previous chapter, right? We looked at the definition of candlesticks and that they are price chart used to represent price movement over a specific period of time, right? And we also learned how the price is represented in the candlesticks and the four key data points that we get from the candlestick, which is the open where the market opens, close where the market closes, and where the market does a high and where it does the low, right? And the four key data points that we get from this candlesticks. And then we have the upper shadow and the lower shadow that are called as wicks, right? Now with that said, let's move into what are the classifications of the candlesticks, right? We often tend to jump into learning the type of candles, but here I'm going to take a step back and paint a high level picture of the different types of candlesticks that we can bucket every single candlestick that is available today, right? So the first one is bullish, right? The second one is bearish, and the third one is neutral slash consolidation. So no matter what kind of candlesticks that we will look from here, they will be bucketed into these three classifications, because at the end of the day, the market does only move in three directions, right? One is either bullish, the other one is bearish, downward trend, and then consolidation, which is a sideways market. So bullish type of candlestick is the one where the price closing price is higher than the open price, which is what we exactly looked at in our previous session, right? Bullish candles are those where the buyers are in control and the overall sentiment is positive, right? And is often used to confirm uptrends, which is bullishness. Reversals, when we say reversals, we also can use bullish candles when the trend is reversing from bearish, which is downward trend, and reversing back to the bullish trend, which is upward trend, or continuation of a trend, right? A bullish trend is ongoing and then we get a pause and then the trend is continuing depending on the context, which is where is this bullish candle forming, right? And here is a classic example of, back to back three bullish candles. And you see the body close is higher than open, and then you see the wicks and the prices continue to move up, which is the uptrend. Now moving to bearish, that is just opposite to bullish, right? Where the price closing is lower than the open price. Remember in bullish, the price opens lower and it closes above the open price. In bearish, it's exactly the other way around. Open is higher, close is lower, right? And then sellers are in control. They are, winning that war with the buyers because they're able to dominate that market. And the overall sentiment is negative, and it helps us identify downtrends, reversals, from a bullish market to a bearish market when the prices are reversing down south, or breakdowns depending on the context. We will learn all of this in detail, right? So where these candles are forming is very very important, and here is a classic example of a bearish market and the bearish candles that we see in here, right? So bullish is uptrend, bearish is downtrend. Then comes the neutral slash consolidation, which is where the market spends majority of its time, right? They say according to data, the market consolidates most of the time than being in the trend, which is higher than 50% of the time. Here the open and close are very close to each other, unlike the bullish and the bearish where the width of the body is large because there is a large difference between where the markets opened and where the markets closed. Here the open and close are very close to each other, which makes the candle body small, showing limited price movement between the open and close. And it has a larger wick, right? The body is smaller, the wick is larger, and that is when we classify that as a consolidation, right? Which means it is indecision. Neither the buyers nor the sellers are able to give a clear message, right? The market is neither bullish nor bearish. The momentum is slow. The trend has paused and or is consolidating in a range, right? There is no clear winner. And here is a classic example of a consolidation candle, and we will learn what is this type of candle in the coming sessions, right? Now, here the color of the candle does not matter because there is a very small marginal win by the bulls here, and there is a very small marginal win by the bears here. But the color of this candle does not matter, and these are called neutral slash consolidation, and we'll now get into the different types of bullish candles, what are their names, different kinds of bearish candles, and different types of neutral slash consolidation candles. With that said, see you in the next session.